Well, everyone, welcome back to another breaking news update. And today was an insane day. I was running my tail off trying to keep up with all of the things that I've been working on for my clients. I had meetings. I attended an Ontario Bar Association's session on immigration. But finally, after a very, very long wait, we now have the mandate letter for Minister Fraser from the Prime Minister. And this has been something that we've been waiting on for a long, long time. And now we have a very good idea what the priorities are and what is important for immigration as we move forward. As always, I am Canadian immigration lawyer Mark Holthe, and this news update is sponsored by the Canadian Immigration Institute. And as you can see here, right down at the bottom here, we are launching our spousal sponsorship course. That is the very, very first of its kind for the firm. And I am really, really looking forward to this. All you have to do is click on the link below. We are having our first series of master classes starting January the 10th to the 15th. And I'll be honest, you guys, long before Express Entry was ever created, which has really been my baby, spousal sponsorships were the bread and butter of my practice. I did so many of these. And so I'm really excited as the borders, hopefully we're going to eventually get through this, but as people are starting to make the decision to sponsor their spouses, especially a lot of you that have made decisions to list your spouse as non-accompanying, have landed and are now considering sponsoring them, that course is for you, so go check it out. Okay, we do have some people that are tuning in. Let's see if we can see how this pulls up here. I'm going to adjust this where we can all see fine and dandy. And I'm just going to make one little change here because I can see that I need to adjust the lettering here so that it is white, and then we'll be able to see this. So Ralph, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. We've got Shoaib, who is also here. Hello to you. And I don't have a clue what that is. Okay, and here Mike's got a very good question. Open work permit, waiting to meet spouse, any hope? Let's take a look, guys, at what the government, at least the Prime Minister of Canada, has now told Minister Fraser what is important. So you can see here, these mandate letters, you can get right off the government website. But these, I'm not going to go through and read all of the details and all the background, but essentially the mandate letters are something that started back in 2015, and they are directed to each minister by the Prime Minister in a way that tells all of us what the government's priorities are for certain parts of their portfolios. So whether it's immigration or whether it's finance, whether it's, you name one, like borders, these mandate letters are telling the minister, look, this is what the priorities that I want you to focus on. And I know that I was a little bit late to the game. I try to jump on so that I can do these big splashes and things like that. But the reality is these mandate letters, and all you have to do is just click on this little link here, and it will pull up the mandate letter that is designed for the Minister of Immigration, Refugees, Citizenship right here. And you can see it's addressed to Minister Fraser. It was just released today, only hours ago, December the 16th. And let's dive in here and take a look. Now, the first part, you guys, of this, I can tell you that is just general stuff that is contained in many of the mandate letters. You can read it if you want, but what I want to do is I want to scroll down here to the bottom where I can show you exactly where the rubber hits the road. And why is this letter so important? Like I said, it tells Sean Fraser, Minister of Immigration, it tells him what his priorities are and where the government is going to be focusing their attention in this cycle after the election. And the mandate letters are issued after there's an election, and at least the Liberals have been doing it. And so it's basically to give general guidelines and general priorities throughout the life of this term in which they're serving. So yes, so as we go through here, there's a bunch of general priorities that he wants them to do. You know, things like you can see here, play nice with the journalists because we need to be professional and respectful, maintain those relationships because they're the ones that keep the Canadians informed. All right. So if we keep cruising down here, you can see here lots of other, all about open government, right? Open and accountable governments and this is really good because there's no secrets theoretically, right? So big shout out to them for doing this. Now, you can see here as Minister of Immigration, this is really where the rubber hits the road. And you guys can hold off on your questions for just a little bit. Let me explain what we have here. And then after I've had a chance to explain this, then let's see here. I don't have a button to remove that. Once we've had a chance to explain what's going on within the mandate letters, many of the questions that I know you guys are going to ask will be answered. And then after, we'll open it up for a Q&A where we can talk about a few other things. But the most important thing is to realize is that this mandate letter that we have here is going to drive the ship for what happens with immigration in this coming cycle. All right. Okay, let's jump back and let's take a look, and we're going to go through this. So as Minister of Immigration, you will prioritize ongoing work to strengthen Canada's immigration and refugee system, including bringing more newcomers to all regions of Canada. And why? Because Canada views new immigrants as a significant component to our economic recovery from this pandemic. Okay. So you'll see here that there are certain things that are super priorities. One is to act with urgency to provide resettlement opportunities for people under threat, including Afghan citizens and human rights defenders. So you probably saw, let's see if I can pull it up here. I did the YouTube, there's ours right here. I just finished doing a breaking news update right here that covered where Canada is going to be spending money. And I know people probably say, well, who cares about this economic and fiscal update? But the reality is where the money goes, you follow it, that's where the programs are going to go. So they attributed $1.3 billion, yes, not million, $1 billion towards the whole Afghan resettlement. And their target is 40,000 Afghan citizens and human rights defenders that were involved in, working with Canada and the partnerships we had there. And that's our mandate. That's what the Prime Minister has indicated is an urgent, right here, an urgent priority. But it's not just them. And those of you who are wondering about your separation from your spouses, you can see as well, you will continue to strengthen family reunification. So that's all of you spouses that are apart, and reduce application processing times, especially those impacted by COVID. So you guys need to appreciate that, the Prime Minister, I'm just looking at my little window here. What is going on? I don't like this. Just give me a second. Just going to see if I can adjust. I can't really. Let's see. Oh, there we go. That's better. I just need to expand this a bit so that I'm there. Now I've got things happening here. I wasn't liking how my window was set up. So basically you can see from the mandate letter that they recognize you. They know that you're separated from your spouses. They know that processing times are terrible. They know that there are so many people that have been impacted by COVID, and their focus above and beyond everybody else is supposed to be on those pillars, right? The Afghan crisis, resolving that, family reunification, reducing application processing times, especially those impacted by COVID. So you outlanders that are waiting and stalled out, this is where the priority is. All right. Okay, let's keep scrolling down here and let's see what else we have. So now we're going to jump into the specific objectives, and I'm going to try to really pull the curtain back a little bit on what the government is really saying here, because sometimes you read through it, and unless you understand the context, unless you have actually been in the trenches, you don't really know what they're saying by this. It's not always as clear and transparent as they say. But let's take a look and see. Obviously, continue to bring newcomers to Canada to drive economic growth. Do you see that? There's a consistent theme here, you guys. The importance of immigrants to Canada's economic recovery. Right here. as set out in the 2021 to 23 immigration levels plans. Well, what are they? Well, let's take a quick peek. So you can access these on the government site. It's all public domain. So they have a multi-year plan, and this one was started November 25th, 2020. Now this whole section, you can read it. I'm not going to go through all of it. It was last updated in June of this year. But if you go up to the top here, the main key areas that I want you to focus on right here are in the supplementary message, which says the 2021 to 23 multi-year levels plan. It was tabled October the 30th with targets of 401,000 for this year, 411,000 for next year. Yes, it's going up. It's going up. And 421,000 in 2023. So the trajectory is up. And that's what I want you to focus on. Okay, I'm just going to take this here, and I can see when I'm looking at my screen, it looks like I'm looking away. I'm going to flip myself around here so it doesn't look so weird. Okay, so now, well, I was going to until now I'm off kilter here. Oh boy, isn't it fun when you are the technology expert, the audio expert, and the video host and guest? Well, the reality is, let me just address this. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to get this straight. Okay, that's better. I think that's a little bit better. Boy, this is fun, isn't it, you guys? Okay, we'll drop that down a little bit. And now I'm feeling like I'm actually looking in the right direction. Okay, so back to what we're talking about here. Immigration levels are growing, and you're a significant part of the growth and the recovery for Canada's economy. And like I said before, there's many, many countries in the world that have just locked down. They don't see immigration the same way Canada does. So yes, we've taken a beating. COVID has been awful, but the future is still very, very bright. And that's what this mandate letter is stating. Okay, expand the new immigration streams for human rights defenders and work with civil society groups to provide settlement opportunities for people under threat. That's our humanitarian obligations. You can see they also talk once again about the Afghan and the goals to bring in at least 40,000. That's interesting. And remember, 1.3 billion is going to go a long ways. Then you can see here, number 3 on the list. Well, let's see, what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, reduce application processing times, including to address delays that have been impacted by COVID-19. So 85 million in that video that I talk about right here, 85 million they've attributed, in addition to everything else, will be focused on trying to tackle these processing times. Now, the 1.3 billion is going to be directed towards the Afghan crisis, but the benefit, as I discuss in this video that I did just yesterday, the benefit of that 1.3 going to that particular focus is that all of the other immigration streams, all the other immigration streams that have been basically cannibalized, their resources, their staff have been moved over and shifted over to the Afghan. By that extra funding, the goal is to be able to then get the people back processing what they're supposed to process. Okay. All right. Let's keep cruising down here and let's see what else we have. So processing times. Yes. Those of who are separated from spouses, family reunification. And this is an exciting development, you guys. Electronic applications. Yes. For family reunification. Those are already starting to be implemented. And I will be discussing those in the course here. And what are they? You go to the PR portal, IRCC, login. I can probably jump in here even and just show you guys what I mean. I'll use my little dummy account here. But when you go in here, you can actually pull up and you can see new applications now are available to be submitted online. Why was there such backlogs? Because immigration was relying on paper base. So if you go here, you can see there's family, and then you have the ability to choose spouse, and you can select your class, spouse in Canada or family class, and then you go from there. Obviously, if your spouse is outside Canada, family class is the only way you can go. If you're inside Canada, you've got options, but I talk about those in the course. So that is that's a significant component, is their desire to help improve and set up these electronic applications to to basically get the spousals moving faster. And they're implementing a program, and this is the one that I talked about before, that they hinted at in their budget, they hinted at before. I can tell you that I talked to immigration. I brought this up in one of our last meetings. They said, oh, there's no plans to do this. Well, heck yeah, there is. Plans to issue temporary resident status to spouses and children abroad while they wait for the processing of their PR applications. So the goal here, if you remember, and I spoke about this when I appeared before the Standing Committee on Immigration in November of 2020 of last year. It's been over a year now when I was talking about the impact of COVID on immigration processing. This is one of the big issues, was the fact that if you have a spouse that's abroad and that spouse is the subject of a sponsorship that you've submitted, good luck in most countries getting a visitor visa for that spouse to come and be in Canada with you while the spousal application is being processed. Why? Why was it good luck? Well, simply put, there were high amounts of fraud. And when immigration had questions about the integrity of the system, they did not want to issue these visas to spouses until they could actually verify the genuineness. Well, I think all of you know that the incidences of fraud that have been demonstrated, although in perception appear to be high, are far less than the evil they're trying to curb. And so when you have genuine relationships where spouses are separated for not 1 year, not 2, and you know who you are, not 3, sometimes 4 or even more. And we saw that during the pandemic. It was just exacerbated. This has become a priority. So a visa, watch for it. I will let you know the moment that this starts to move forward. But the goal here is to have something similar to a super visa for parents, for spouses and children, to allow them to come and be reunited with their Canadian spouse or permanent resident spouse during the processing of their permanent resident application. That's what this says, okay? And so watch for it. I will try to be the first to let you know the moment I hear about it. Okay, citizenship. Those ones who are going through and want to become citizens, they have been talking about this in their platform, election platform. The Liberals campaigned on this. And basically, the desire is to make the citizenship application fee for permanent residents who for free, the process free for permanent residents who have fulfilled the requirements needed to obtain it. So citizen application processing fees are, I think they're over $600 right now. And so the goal is to remove it. Okay. All right. Then there's some other information here that relates to employers. So if you're an employer, you're watching this wondering, what does this mean for me and my desire as my labor shortages are all around me and I need to bring people in? What is the government going to do to help me with that? Well, this is it. Okay. So they are looking at establishing a trusted employer system for Canadian companies that they're not concerned about exploiting or taking advantage of you or abusing you, which, oh my goodness, are there so many companies out there that do exploit their foreign workers. And this is a good opportunity to shift over here and click on a blog post. And we have 2 fantastic new blog posts that we're going to have live streams to talk about next week on Thursday. One's at 9 o'clock, and that is this one with Chanel. All you need to know about job offers. You absolutely have to come and watch that at 9 o'clock this Thursday. Well, a week from today, I guess it is. And then how long can I stay in Canada after my work permit expires? This is another phenomenal one. I'm working with Alicia to determine if we're going to do it at 11 or in the afternoon. We're kind of leaning to the afternoon on Thursday, maybe 4 p.m. so that those of you out there who are watching this right now, who are often just finishing up work, can actually watch this. Because many of you, simply put, because there hasn't been ITAs and there hasn't been rounds of invitations, many of you are seeing your work permit starting to expire or soon to be expiring, and you're freaking out wondering, what can I do? So that's what this one is all about. So you've got to check out those 2 blog posts. You can go to the site right now and just go to resources blog and away you go. Okay, let's continue on. So trusted employer. So the ones that have shown that they've got a track record of really following the rules properly to allow them to hire foreign workers and basically improve the GTS, the global talent stream. which is designed to bring in the best and the brightest. So they're looking at simplifying permit renewals, which is really good, because why in the world would you force a company to go all through those hoops that you did the first round when it's just not necessary? It eats up resources for the government. And if they're truly trusted employers, then you should be able to give them a break on all of the other things that you require other companies to provide. They're going to try to uphold the 2-week processing time, which they have failed miserably in upholding during the pandemic, and to establish an employer hotline. Well, that was already established before and should have been in place, with the liaisons officers, but maybe that kind of fell apart. Now they're trying to reissue it again. And then they're going to continue to work with provinces and territories to improve foreign credential recognition. And you know what? Igor in my office, my good friend Igor, I'm going to show you guys the team right here. If we click on our team, so there's me, Alicia, Chanel, Susan, and Igor right here. He's got paralegal, but Igor is on the verge of moving forward with his immigration lawyer certification. Well, to become a lawyer in Alberta. And he has to go back to school, do another year plus articles with me and a bunch of things to become an immigration lawyer. It's brutal. It's crazy. And the things that you guys have to go through, and you know who you are. You know what I'm talking about, regardless of the professional association. So they are trying to work with these regulatory bodies to improve the process so that people don't have to go through these crazy loopholes just to be able to practice in their chosen professions, which personally I think is really, really good. And what do most lawyers, foreign lawyers, guess what they do? They become immigration consultants. Why? Because it is so much easier than actually going through the process to becoming called to the bar in one of the provinces in Canada. All right. Building on existing pilot programs, including, you can see here, ways of regularizing the status for undocumented workers who are contributing to Canadian communities. You guys will remember a while back, Minister Mendicino, the former Minister of Immigration, someone asked him, will they expand the TR to PR pathway program? Will they open it up again? And you guys, I can guarantee right here that that you guys have already asked these questions. And if I scroll through the questions that have been asked at this stage, I can guarantee that will be a part of it. Are they going to do another TR to PR pathway for me, international grad, or for me, essential worker? Will they open it up again? Well, Minister Mendicino hinted that all things are open, just like Minister Fraser does. It's amazing how they always use this term. We're considering all options, and yes, they are. And when I met with Minister Mendicino last year to talk about some of the things that they were trying to do to meet their levels planning, he said, we're open to any ideas. We're open to any suggestions or recommendations that you have. So we pulled together a list of our top priorities. Number 2 on that list was lowering the bar for express entry, which then obviously resulted in this crazy draw. What was it? The February 13th draw of 27,000 people earlier this year for CEC. So what I'm trying to get at here is that the Minister Mendicino said, yes, we're considering some things, but if you read through the lines, one of the things that they were looking at was trying to find ways to transition refugee claimants, those who had not yet had their claim accepted, who were waiting, to transition those individuals. And you can see here, undocumented workers, as well as individuals that maybe fell out of status through no fault of their own, to giving ways through pilot programs to regularize their status. Now, does that mean permanent resident status? It doesn't say. It could be temporary, right? But to facilitate these people who are contributing to the Canadian communities. All right. Now, the next one, I've said this repeatedly. If you have a language school, a French language school in India, reach out to me because I'm happy to connect with you and look at becoming an investor, because they're continuing to work with Quebec to support French language. That's great, while respecting the provincial jurisdiction and complementing existing measures. But here is the part that I want you to really look closely at. Continue to implement an ambitious national strategy, not Quebec, not just Quebec, but a national strategy designed to support Francophone immigration across the country. What is that, you guys? All right, let's flip back here and go to CRS criteria. Pretty simple. Click on this link, scroll to the very bottom, all the way to the bottom. We don't need that. And what do we have right here? If you have an NCLC, which is basically like a CLB 7, so that's kind of a 6 in the IELTS range. If you have an IELTS 6, right, that's about a CLB 7. If you have that or higher on all French language skills, and you don't even have any English, you get an extra bonus 25 points. But if you even have minimum English of CLB 5, boom, 50 points. So French language has become the new job offer. So all of you out there have to appreciate that this is a direction the government is not turning back from. They have ambitious goals to include up to 4, I think as much as 4% of the overall immigration intake to be individuals with French language abilities. So if you're not ranking high enough on the human capital level because it's so fiercely competitive for express entry, this is the way. This is the way. Okay, let's continue through here. Lead the government's work on irregular migration, including continued work with the U.S. to modernize the Safe Country Agreement. Yep, it's a mess. Expand, and this is where you guys are asking the question. I know you're asking this question. What is going to happen? Okay. Expand pathways to permanent residence for international students. All right, you guys hearing this? And foreign workers through the express entry system. Okay, well, what does this mean, you guys? What does it mean to expand a pathway? Well, what do we have right now? Let's take a look. If we look at international students, they are given 15 points if they have a credential of 1 or 2 years. And if it's 3 or more, you get 30 points. Does that mean they're potentially, how would they expand it? Well, the easiest way to do that, you guys, is to give 25 points for this and 50 points for this. Will they do it? Maybe, but that's what they're hinting at here, okay? Especially within the express entry system. So when they talk about and temporary foreign workers, that's code for people that may traditionally not be scoring high enough because their human capital is lower. We know that the NOC system is adjusting. It's changing. We also know all of you guys that are freaking out about the current NOC Bs being converted to that 3 level in the new one. And those of you who have studied it will know what I'm talking about. But it's my understanding, based on insider knowledge, that you don't have to freak out about this. If you're a skill level B, at least when it comes to the trade level positions, cooks, things like that, you're not going to get pushed down to becoming ineligible under express entry. So you heard it from me here first. Okay. So I'll do a special live stream. Everybody's been just clamoring for me to talk about this, guys. It is, I know they've said the fall. I know that they've said the fall of 2022 now is when they're going to, change the NOC code to the 2021. But I can tell you that there's no way that they're going to be launching that at the end of the fall. They're just not. Like, there's too many moving pieces. The foreign worker program has to be adjusted. The whole express entry system has to be adjusted. Anything that relies on NOC codes has to be adjusted to accommodate for this new numbering system. And you can see what just the slightest change, how long it takes and how many problems it causes for the whole system. So even the whole job bank, right, is based on that 4-digit NOC codes. So going forward, all of the fear mongering that people have been making about, well, if you're in a level 3 versus a 2, if you're a 7-3 versus a 7-2, the 2s are going to be okay with Bs, but what about the 3s? Well, you guys can and breathe out, because it's our understanding upon very verifiable sources, although we can't reveal our sources, that these level, the second digit being 3, that generally speaking, and this is what's been told to us, that they should be safe as a B. We'll see what happens, but I did want to share that with you guys. Okay, so they also, in a past budget, had talked about occupation-specific things with Express Entry. So Express Entry could very well have this, have the actual, these additional points. They could add a category that is occupation. And if your occupation is on the occupation in demand list, maybe they give you another 40 points or 50 points like arranged employment. Maybe they do. That's possible, right? They have the ability and the flexibility to very easily tweak the numbering with this to pull more of the people that they want in. What will those occupations look like? I don't know, but they're hinting at it again, that this is a reality, right? What does expand mean? If it doesn't mean creating more opportunities, then I don't know what is. It doesn't mean shutting the program down. It doesn't mean there's no longer going to be Express Entry, right? It means they're going to take the existing infrastructure and they're going to expand it to make it easier for you, international student, and you, foreign worker. Why? How do I know this? Because the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, right here, is giving this mandate. What does mandate mean? It means this is what I'm commanding you to do. Okay, moving forward. Pathways for agricultural workers. That's something that they're going to be working with the Minister of Agriculture. So remember, this is directed to Minister Fraser. And he says, Minister Fraser, you need to collaborate with the Minister of Agriculture so that we can do more for our temporary foreign workers in the ag sector. I'm a farm kid. I grew up on a farm. You know, we lived off of the chickens we raised. We had beef cattle that we raised. We had alfalfa that we grew for the cattle. Irrigation that I had to move as a kid. Oh my goodness. I hated moving irrigation pipes as a kid, especially in the summers when the mosquitoes would descend down on me and I would just be like eaten alive by mosquitoes while I'm carrying these immigration pipes with my brothers and moving them across the field 3 times a day to water our crops. And so this stuff, when I see this, very, very happy, because what we've seen throughout this pandemic, the ag sector is the lifeblood. Agri-food, agriculture is the lifeblood of our country. If we can't feed our people, then we're wrecked. And you guys know what it's like. There's many of you, I know for a fact, that are all over the world who are in countries where this whole world of agriculture and agri-food, it's constantly in a state of disarray, where you don't even know sometimes if you've got food coming and available for you for your next meal to feed your children. And that's part of the reason why Canada has gone way, way ahead of many other countries to do their part right here. And you can see how far up it is, you guys. Meet the targets, and then human rights and civil groups and resettlement of refugees and other vulnerable people. It's right up at the top. That's how important it is for this government. Okay, so let's keep zipping through here. And we're now on to here. Build on the economic mobility pathways pilot. Okay, and I think you guys have you can Google it. Economic mobility pathway project Canada. That's probably enough. I'll pull it up here. You can see what I searched for. And you can see this economic mobility pathway has its, let me just back up here, has its foundations right here. You can see, has its foundations it was launched in April 2018, 10 to 15 skilled refugees in the Middle East who meet the requirements of Canada's immigration programs. So you can see how little, but this is just a test. This is just a pilot. So focused on refugee candidates with skilled work experience. So once again, doing our duty as good global citizens to help those in need. That's epitomizes Canada, right? Making sacrifices, personal sacrifices to help those in other countries who are less fortunate than us. All right. And so you can see before, when you Google this one here, you can see the economic was launched and aimed to identify approximately 10 to 15 skilled refugees in the Middle East and East Africa who meet the requirements. All right. It's been a very, very quiet program in the background, but now you can see they're looking at working with employers to bring in 2,000 to fill labor shortages in high demand sectors such as, well, of course, healthcare. And the Angel, you can remember the Guardian Angel program. Some of you probably heard about that in Quebec. Okay. And then the last but not least is to ensure that immigration better supports small and medium-sized communities that require additional immigrants to enhance their economic growth and social vibrancy. What is that? We know what that is. Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot. So moving forward on the municipal nominee program, which people were just asking about that the other day, and making the successful Atlantic Immigration Pilot a permanent program. And if you guys go back and you go to the YouTube videos that I did in the past, and I go back to the video, I'm trying to remember which one it was, where I introduced the minister and talked about Sean Fraser. Where is it here? Let's see. We've got a bunch. New Canadian immigration minister right here. Specifically, I addressed the fact that he is in Nova Scotia, one of the Atlantic provinces. That's where he comes from. That's his riding. And so, did you guys really think that the Atlantic Immigration Pilot program would not become permanent? Well, I told you back then. And how long ago was that? 1 month ago. So the writing was on the wall. So you can see the desire to spread immigrants out across the country so that you guys settle in other locations other than the big three of Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver. So that is the goal, to enhance our communities and economic growth. And you can see here, this is another thing I want you guys to realize. The minister is reminding, the Prime Minister is reminding Minister Fraser that you're responsible for actively engaging with your cabinet and caucus colleagues as we deliver on our platform commitments. It will be important that members of the ministry continue to collaborate and work constructively to support the rigorous and productive cabinet decision making. I expect you to support your colleagues in delivering their commitments, leveraging the expertise in your departments, and why all of this? To best achieve results for Canadians. And that's really what it comes down to, you guys. So you can go here, you can read this. I know I spent quite a bit of time going through this, and but you know, this gives you a very, very clear roadmap. We can open up the floor. We can talk about anything that you guys want to talk about. Over the next little bit here, we'll answer a few questions from people. Remember, we've got a very robust live Q&A system going every Wednesday morning, every Thursday morning with Alicia, and Chanel's going to be joining us as well as we produce tons more video content to help you guys navigate this crazy world that we call immigration. All right, so we'll open it up now to some questions. We'll give some shout outs to the people that are tuning in here. So we did already. We caught Ralph here. Hello, Ralph. Good to see you. Shoaib is here. And yes, Sophie, we said hello to her. And there you go, Mike. Open work permit, waiting to meet spouse. Any hope? So this is something, Mike, we just talked about. We talked about this visa for the reunification of overseas spouses and dependent children. When it will be launched, well, it's a mandate. So watch for it and I'll keep you posted. Okay. McCool says, hey, was waiting for the video as soon as I read the mandate letters were out. Thank you. You're very welcome, McCool. Thank you for connecting. Let's see here. I'm going to add into here just a little bit of, with the background, I'm going to add in a little bit more. Let's see what we have here so that you guys can see this a little bit better. I'm going to just darken this up a bit if I can. It's always fun trying to sort this out. That's pretty bright. We can just reduce this down a bit. There. I think that'll make it a little bit easier for you guys to see. Nice. On the spot adjustments. Okay. Let's see what else we've got going here. Maninder says, thank you for your help always. You're very, very welcome, Maninder. Hello, Nicola. Good to see you. Lisa, good to see you from Trinidad. I know. Yep. It's the evening here. Erica, thanks for connecting. Jesse's over in Quebec. We've got Hawa. Good evening to you. And we've got Yoon Chen. Hey, how you doing? Okay. Chaitanya. the permanent resident of Canada. We'll be getting back to you for another consultation regarding my parents' visitor visas. Thanks. You bet, my friend. I am absolutely delighted to continue working with you. Okay. Hi, Mark. FSW backlogs. You can see the priorities. Money being spent to fix them. Good to see you, Terry. Thanks for connecting in. Gates says, hey, thanks for the update. When do we expect these changes? They're going to be rolled out. You can see the mandate letters are implemented immediately. So now is when they're going to start really emphasizing these things. And in all honesty, you guys, a lot of this stuff was still priorities, but there's an emphasis now, a greater emphasis being placed on exactly these things that are set out in the mandate letters. All right. Okay. Was there anything that I didn't see in there? Well, I didn't see anything about the need to expand entrepreneur programs in Canada or investor programs. They didn't talk about that. I would have loved to have seen an EB5 equivalent program in Canada, but it doesn't exist. Are there any others that they didn't really address? Well, let's see. What else do we have in terms of immigration programs as I scan through my brain? They talked about the importance of students and workers. They didn't talk about the enforcement of the work permit programs. They talked about using trusted employer, but they didn't talk about cracking down on all the corruption and the exploitation of businesses in Canada who are charging people, you know, 10, 20,000, 30,000 for a job offer and then splitting it with their recruiter or their consultant who's rigged up these deals. Oh my goodness, I see this so much and it makes me barf. All right, moving on. Okay, Elsie, good to see you. Linnell's watching from Kuwait. Hello. Yes, finally. Okay, Erica says, still have chances to approve the PR application under the rural and northern immigration pilot, Vernon. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, Elsie says, we go to see TR to PR. I think as I talked with you guys, we'll see. They're going to express entry they talked about, but they didn't talk about opening up a new TR to PR pathway. But at least for you guys, I think it's going to be seen more in the context of express entry. Why? Because the system is already designed to be really slick and efficient. So why create a whole new program, new infrastructure, when you can tweak the existing one to reach the needs that you're looking for? Express entry is not going away. Okay. Jat says, a procedural fairness letter issued to me regarding experience in Atlantic immigration pilot program, but I got approved my work permit on behalf of that experience, but now they ask me again more. Yeah, more proof. Yes, Jet. And this is why every single time I ring the bell right here and I click on this link and I tell people to come over here, right here, speak to a lawyer and book a consultation with us. Anytime that you guys get one of those procedural fairness letters or any additional document requests, come here, book a consult, and we can assist you in figuring out what the heck is going on. I can tell you that there is a distinct reason, Jat, why they're asking you for more proof. There was something that you put in there, something that happened that triggered it. And often this is your last kick at the can. And if you don't respond properly, you don't identify really what they're getting at. And sometimes the only way you can do that is through experience, which we have. You could lose out on that one opportunity that you have. And Jat, you may never get another one. So that's why I continually, click on our little triangle here and let people know to head over and book a consult. And that's what I recommend you do, Jat. Okay. Harry, good morning over there in Nepal. Great to have you. Sahil, what you think? Will there be another tier to PR in 2022? I told you guys. Big round of applause for me. These have queued up while I was doing my explanation, and I knew that one was coming. Okay, I knew it was. It was on there. Hi, I see you, Ezzy. Okay, TV Americans, TV São Paulo. Muito bom. Então, vamos continuar. Okay, is that tier to PR? No? Okay, everything all. All right, Callum. There we go. Igor here says, is this a TR to PR pathway? No, this is just the mandate of where immigration is going from. And so when we're talking about those TR to PR pathways, I think you're probably asking right when I was explaining what was happening with the international students. And so if we go back to the mandate letter again and look at the specific items on here, I'll flip the screen over. We looked at this expanding pathways to permanent residence for international students. People think, oh, expanding pathways, that must be the TR to PR pathway, right? Well, remember, guys, that was a program that was instituted under Section 25, the humanitarian and compassionate powers of the immigration minister to create a program to meet those needs. What was the need? It was all those essential workers who put their life on the line when the pandemic was raging to maintain the services for the rest of Canada. That was the source of what was going on with that. So, yeah, so keep that in, take that into context. I think they're going to be tweaking the express entry and not creating a new TR to PR pathway. Good to see you, Callum. Good to see you. Thanks for connecting in. That's awesome. We've got Callum Scott here on Facebook, and we got Callum Fraser on YouTube. I love that. Okay. Yes, true. There you go. Yaroslavna. You know, and Igor has gone through, he's going to have a long journey to do it. And he's willing to make the sacrifice, and I'm supporting him 100% because he's a brilliant kid and, you know, is just great. But yeah, many do, right? They go from a lawyer to an immigration consultant. Okay. Okay. Che says, please give support for all humanitarian and compassionate. Apply to give us a chance and approve. Yes. And you can see 1.3 billion. Okay. And I love this. Loris, hey, let them know we're going live. I love that. Thank you. Watching on the Canadian Immigration Institute Facebook page. Okay, Nishant says, is it okay for me today apply for a tourist visa to attend my sister's convocation after 2-time study permit rejection due to less score in IELTS? Thanks, Nishant. The reality is I will I will continue to do this. I will ring the bell and push you over here, my friend. Really go here and book a consult and let's take a look at it. There's far too many factors to say, yep, go ahead. Now, there's nothing stopping you. And let me just see here. Oh, I don't have one. I think we're just about ready to wrap this up, but my throat's starting to dry out. So yeah, there's too many factors at play here, but there's nothing stopping you from applying, but you need to address the concerns of the officer if you can. Okay. Okay, Olu says, how long after getting married do you have to wait to submit your spousal application for PR, or can you apply immediately? Great question. Guess where you're going to get all your questions answered? Right here when you join me January 10th to the 15th in the very, very first spousal sponsorship course and master class. So make sure that you click on the link below and go here and get notified when the registration opens. Back to the question, is there a minimum time that you have to wait to submit the spousal? No, there isn't. And I'm assuming after you get married, as long as you can prove it, I file, like sometimes I'll meet with clients and we'll put everything together before their actual marriage date. Then once they get married, we're ready to submit the day after. But it depends on a lot of factors, Olo. And it depends on the nature of the relationship. It depends upon the individual circumstances of you and your spouse, the country that you're applying through. Whether it's in Canada spousal sponsorship or through the family class. So, all right, Rafu from Ghana. Hello, welcome, welcome. Okay, 4736 says, how can we apply for a work permit under the TR to PR if we do not have the email for submission of the file? If you don't have acknowledgement of receipt, you can't. And that's the simple answer. This is something that Alicia is going to be addressing. If we flip back here and go to this one, this is what Alicia is going to be addressing. I want you guys to go over here and I want you to read this blog. How long can I stay in Canada after my work permit expires? There's so much more in here, so much more than just that question. But that's the one that people are asking more than any else. So that's why we have Alicia's created this awesome blog on it. Okay, so let's just go back here. And yeah, so this is something that you're going to want to read that blog and see what your options are. There's a ton of suggestions in there. Callum, my passport expires this year with longer processing time. Should I just get a new one and update my application? Yeah, Callum, I just go ahead and do that. That's what I would do. Kima says, thank you for doing this. When can we expect the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program to become permanent? Well, I'm assuming they're going to probably announce it in the new year. Maybe it's a Christmas, maybe it's a New Year's Eve announcement in January. There's an expiry. I can't remember when the pilot expires. Every pilot program has an expiry date. And so once that expiry date hits, then it will roll over to a permanent. And I can't remember when it is. All right. Good news for us who are doing master's degrees in Canada. Well, sure. As you're going through the process, remember, just like we said here, the international students are a priority for this government. Tax returns for international students. Well, anytime you file, you work in Canada, you have taxes that are remitted to the government, and you can file your taxes and get that money returned to you. So it's as simple as that. Bacola says in H&C applications also be faster. At this stage, we have to assume that all processing. H&Cs have also been affected by the pandemic, and that was on the list. Manit, hello to you. Thanks for connecting in. Himanshu says, hello, Mark, you are a divine power of God the way you are helping millions out there. You know what? That is, and you know what, Himanshu, some people may say, wow, that's kind of a weird thing to say, and this must be some kind of a religious kind of fanatical comment. But I want you guys to understand why I do what I do. I feel that my life has been richly blessed. I have an amazing wife. I have 4 fabulous children who make me proud every day. And I have an amazing occupation where I can do what I love in the way that I want to. And it allows me to be able to provide for my family, not just my wife and my children, but my extended family, my mother, assist my brothers. And so the things that I do here are an outward expression of an inner gratitude I have for my Father in heaven. And yes, I am Christian. I believe in God. I believe that he's there, and I believe that he's my son, and I believe that he expects more of me. I believe that he wants me to stop focusing on what's in my best interests and to look outward and give to other people. And I've been so grateful that my wife has served a mission like I have. My son Connor just left. He's down in Chile right now, the east part of Santiago, serving a mission. And it's all about forgetting yourself and helping others. It looks like Alicia, she is watching maybe here, and she has just posted. I'm going to pull this up. See, that's awesome when the other lawyers tune in. Here's the Gazette. So this is the published regulations on the Atlantic immigration class. And this is June 12th, 2021. You can see right there. So these are the published regs. And so we'll see how this all plays out. And what is a pilot? How does a pilot become a permanent program? Through the actual regulations and law, the act and regulations that need to be created to create its permanent existence. So pilots can be just tossed out by the minister. Well, not tossed out, but just through ministerial instruction. But this here, how does a program become permanent? Through this process. And then once it's proclaimed in law. So this is just the background information on it, talking about the benefits, the cost of it, all these kinds of things that they do. And then all the way scrolling down, I'm not sure if there's an actual, the proposed regulatory amendments would come into force on January the 1st. Yay, there you go. Thanks, Alicia. Haha, I told you I have phenomenal lawyers working in my firm. Thank you. So there you go. So power of God, yes. And I feel truly that he's empowered me to make a difference in the world. That's what I feel. Okay, I'm still waiting for TR to PR results. So are many, many people, my friend. Hopefully this announcement will help. Why a visitor visa decision has been paused. October applicants still waiting. Hey, so many things like that have been paused. Why? Resources, the Afghan crisis, and the ranking of importance in the mind of this current government. There was nothing on there that said visitor visas were going to be a priority. So that's one of the reasons they've allocated it to different locations. Alexa says, hey, Mark, just got my PR. Yes, so now looking forward to the free processing of citizenship. Congratulations, Alexa. That is so wonderful. Give you an applause. That's awesome. Very, my pleasure, Memo, as always, keeping us updated. My pleasure. Okay, let's see what we have here from Priya. Thank you for your update, but what is the future of temporary foreign workers in healthcare? Would they also be included with refugees? Because I wasn't able to apply in the last TR to PR. Yes. So you'll remember in one of those items, it had international students and foreign workers. So there's going to be something in there for you. There is. Ola says, thanks for always breaking seemingly difficult Canadian immigration questions. Hey, you're welcome. You know, I do the best that I can. Sometimes I'm wrong, but I do the best that I can. First time, says Georges. I'm able to watch live, but I appreciate all you do. I'm a FSW applicant, received ITA November 2020, finalized my PR application in February 2021, been waiting ever since. Hang in there, my friend. Hang in there. Okay, we've got, do you think there's going to be an FSW draw? Go back, watch. You guys can search this stuff right on my channel. You can go here and you can actually search, and I need to expand this a little bit there. You can see how that search button pops up. You can search for anything within the videos. And if you look at the number of videos here, my goodness, like they go on forever and ever and ever and ever. I've done so many of these things. The content is large, so go and check it out. And you'd be surprised how often the questions that you're asking here that maybe you don't get answered will be found there. In terms of the draw, well, the answer is in one of the videos that I did. It's this black one, if I can find it. Actually, no, let's see. I just did it. I'm trying to find all the videos here. The fiscal update, let's see here. Visa, there it is. Express entry update right here. What to expect for federal skilled workers in 2022. That's the nature of that one there. It was a super long one because I sat on there and answered questions for a long time. So you want to check that one out. So go to the YouTube channel and watch that video. Osis. Okay, let's wrap this up here. Let's see. I think I'm trying to see if there's anything new that I haven't talked about. Rafi, the security checks are, it just depends on the country. And so there isn't one set period of time. Sometimes it happens almost instantly. It's so fast because Canada has access to other countries' information. But at the end of the day, it depends on really where you're coming from. And so with Ghana and other African countries, it just depends on, well, I'll be honest, I don't have enough clients from Ghana to be able to tell you how long those security checks take. So I just really don't know, Rafi. Okay, yep, and is TR at least a priority? TR to PR fits in the processing of all applications and clearing out the backlogs. Okay, I think what we're going to do is we're going to end right there. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. We'll keep it a little bit shorter. I have to get out and actually see my family here. So thank you so much for tuning in. We will turn on our little ticker here. I love that. It's just like it's the news, right? Thanks for joining me for another breaking news update. I'm Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer. Wishing you guys all the best as we navigate this crazy world that we call Canadian immigration. All right, take care.